Hello Acolytes, welcome back to After Plague. Today is the fourth video I'm making about Inktober. If you haven't seen the first 3 videos, you can click up in the iCard right now to check those out. Some of those illustrations are pretty cool. Have you ever had an ex break your heart and then ask for a favor? It's sort of the ultimate slap in the face and is exactly what happens in Inktober's Day 12 Spicy. This woman's ex-boyfriend broke up with her, humiliated her, and belittled her witchcraft, but one day he comes crawling back asking for a potion that will make him irresistible to women. She decides this is the perfect opportunity to get a little revenge, but when the potion goes horribly wrong, he'll come crawling back once again for her help. So in this prompt, it was difficult for me to come up with an idea that was scary, specifically involving the word spicy. So the thing that I thought of was sort of a spicy potion initially. And then I thought about what's associated with heat, with spice, and one of the first things that came to mind was romance. And I thought, well, if you gave somebody a spicy hot pepper potion, they might not like it very much. And that's sort of where the idea of this revenge on an ex-boyfriend came from. Plus, I hadn't been able to draw a witch yet for Inktober, and I was missing out on drawing some fun witchy stuff. So I drew her standing over this nice hot pepper cauldron. One of my favorite parts of this illustration is actually the little chili pepper shaped vial in her hand. I think that that's very cute. I really like how that turned out. I think it's a sort of adorable translation of the peppers into the actual potion. If you would like to get this artwork or any of the artwork you see today as a print, you can pick that up through my website, afterplagueart.myshopify.com, and I have exciting news. Today is the day when my Inktober short story collection Corruption comes out, so you can head on over to my website, again, afterplagueart.myshopify.com, to pick up a copy of the book. If you do end up picking it up, please DM me, please tag me in a photo. I would love, love, love to see it. The book contains 31 unique short stories, as well as all of the illustrations for Inktober. So if you want to see the rest of my Inktober illustrations early, you can go ahead and buy the book and get some sneak peeks. I'm very proud of this book. I put a ton of effort into it, and I can't wait for you guys to see all of that. So yeah, afterplagueart.myshopify.com. So something I wanted to emphasize in this illustration that I felt had been lacking in the last few was areas of contrast. So I wanted to make sure that there was a lot of contrast in this illustration from all angles. So the pot versus the peppers, the smoke against her body, and even I end up adding like some vignette around the background that I feel like really adds to the atmosphere, because right now it feels a little bit too bright for sort of you know, making a potion in your closet, essentially, in your shrine. And I think that that turned out really nice. I like a lot of the areas of solid black, like her top, and that almost like collar piece that she has as well. I debated making her witch hat dark like that as well. I'm not sure if I regret not making it as dark as it could be. I'm not sure. I'm still in debate about whether or not I should have made her hat that dark. Something that I did put a lot of effort into was her hair, because she has such beautiful flowing curling hair, and anytime I'm drawing hair I love to put just like the most effort into really making the hair look voluminous and making it look curly and fun. The other thing that I really liked was the shine on the potion. I had an excellent reference image for that, and so I was really pleased with how it turned out. I really do think it looked like liquid within the potion. So this illustration took me 3 hours and 45 minutes, and that is Day 12 Spicy. Do you have formidophobia, the fear of scarecrows? I don't blame you. Is there anything more terrifying than seeing the shadow of a scarecrow silhouetted by the rising moon? In Inktober's Day 13, Rise, a young journalist travels to a small town known for their record-breaking collection of unique scarecrows and their quaint Scarecrow Fest, where they celebrate the coming of fall. But an hour away from home and surrounded by cornfields on all sides, the fair begins to feel more like a trap. Is there more to these scarecrows than there seems? And why do their eyes seem to follow her through the corn? This one is admittedly a bit of a stretch. the prompt word rise, and it's the rising moon. I know it technically has nothing to do with scarecrows, but I just really wanted to draw a spooky cornfield, so I did, and I'm very pleased with it. I think that this is one of the best illustrations in the collection. Honestly, if I do end up buying a print for myself, making a print for myself, it would probably be this one. I think that it's excellent, and I'm very pleased with how it turned out, even though drawing the corn stalks was an absolute nightmare. Again, I had a really wonderful reference image, so I'm very pleased by that, but it was still so much mental work to try and figure out how all of the leaves overlapped and where the gaps in the stalks were. It was really quite a tedious process, but it's still extremely enjoyable. Again, I was really enjoying this illustration. This is one I had a lot of fun with. And I do really like that essentially the scarecrow is just filled black. So it's just a silhouette against the moon, and all of the detail is sort of within the corn stalks. I really like that. I feel like it creates a really interesting composition, and it draws your eyes straight to the scarecrow, which is definitely what I wanted. I think maybe the crow on his arm is a little bit too big, or I could have made it a little bit more of an interesting composition, but I do still really like it. I think that it definitely adds something. It makes it not so perfectly symmetrical. And I feel like it definitely adds, you know, to the spooky, creepy vibe of the whole illustration. Something that was quite difficult that I wasn't anticipating was actually the moon in the background. I wanted to give it that sort of cratery, you know, the surface of the moon has like a texture, even when you're viewing it from Earth. So I wanted to make sure I added that in the illustration, but doing it with the ink pens was quite difficult, actually. It was difficult in a way I wasn't expecting. So that was definitely something that I wasn't expecting to be hard, that was very hard. I also wanted to give this scarecrow these like really beady, glowing eyes. I think they're very unsettling, actually. So I'm pretty pleased with those as well, because unsettling was definitely the vibe that I was going for with this illustration. Most of my time, honestly, was spent on detailing the corn stalks and the corn, obviously. And I really like how they turned out. I think the way that I was shading these corn stalks was interesting. It gave it a lot of texture without necessarily having to do almost like real world texturing. It was very illustrative, and I liked that a lot. I think it ended up looking very good. I feel like if I had tried to do this whole real world texture, that I would have become frustrated with it a lot sooner. Something else that I didn't anticipate being very challenging was the kernels of the corn. I thought, oh, you know, I'll just, you know, draw little circles, and then I was like, this doesn't look right. So I had to put a lot of detail into the actual kernels of the corn to make it look proper. This is a story that I think turned out really well in the collection. I feel like it has a lot of those like small town, cozy, creepy sort of vibes. There's like a fall fair going on, and I feel like it really captures this sort of like middle of nowhere strange festival. You know how like every small town has a cinnamon festival? It's kind of that vibe. And I like how it turned out. I think that this story is one of my favorites, as well as the illustration being one of my favorites. So I'm going to be super annoying about this through the whole video. I'm just really excited that the book is finally done. So again, I'm going to link it again. afterplagueart.myshopify.com. Do it, buy it, destroy it. Absolutely shred the book, please. I just really want people to be able to read it. I would really love to see it on some people's shelves. I know I'm going to be annoying about it and promote it a billion times during this video, but I worked on it for like over 200 hours, so I would really appreciate it if you would check it out. But I'm just about finished up here. I think that I ended up with, again, a really good amount of contrast between the moon and the silhouette of the scarecrow and the sky and the corn. I think that the contrast in this one really flows well. And I really like how all the leaves look overlapped. It makes it feel like a full field of corn, when really there's like, what, maybe 12 stalks here? I feel like the interlocking and the overlapping of the leaves really makes it expand in your mind into a much bigger space. So this one took me about 4 hours and 30 minutes, and this is day 13, Rise. We as viewers love a story about a good king who remains honorable and triumphs over the evils of the world, like Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. But in reality, being good might put you at a disadvantage. You might need to fight dirty to win, or you might end up like the king in Inktober's Day 14 castle. So in this story, the king is amazing. He's beloved by his people, he's known for his great deeds, and he would never send his men into a battle that he himself wouldn't go into. But after one of these skirmishes, the king is wheeled back into the city, covered in a sheet that's covered in blood. He's been horribly injured in this battle. And he retreats into the castle, followed by his most loyal servants, and no one in the kingdom has seen him since. So when the prince arrives in the kingdom to see his father, he notices that it's fallen into disrepair, everybody seems scared, and the guards have increased immensely, and he's like, I need to speak to my father about this. But when he enters the castle, he hears some strange rumors about what might be going on with the king in reality. So this illustration, the thing that helped me more than anything else, and I want to just praise it again, is Procreate's symmetry tool. Oh my gosh, it helped so much. I can't imagine having to illustrate this throne or even just copy and paste it across and try and line it up. It would have taken me a ridiculously long amount of time. And as it stands, this one is my longest Inktober illustration yet. This one took me forever. I hate drawing armor. I think it looks so cool. I love telling stories about medieval knights. I love the aesthetics of it. I love everything about it. But I cannot stand drawing armor, and I drew armor twice this month, so twice so far. So yeah, the armor just took me forever. I'm not sure why. I guess maybe I was trying really hard to make it look metallic with the shading. I think it does look pretty metallic, and I like the design. It's got some like nice sharp shape language that really implies that like the king is not who he was anymore. He's a villain now. You know, it's very pointed armor. It's not very rounded. Everything sort of ends in a sharp point, even down to the fingertips on the gauntlets, even down to the shoes. They sort of curl up into this point. So it really does give the impression that this is not like a good guy anymore, if he ever was. The other thing that I think is really interesting in this piece is this throne that's very wispy and delicate. It doesn't feel like the throne of somebody who is a bad man, which I find very interesting because this king didn't used to be a bad man. He used to be a very good man, a very beloved man. So the throne almost feels like a holdover from a previous era of the king. And, you know, in addition to that, it does sort of now have this sinister undertone. It feels like sort of tendrily, sort of almost like fungus-like, and I really like that. So this design of the throne is something that I'm very pleased with. I think it turned out quite well, actually. I don't know if this is gonna get me restricted by YouTube or anything like that. I know that decapitations are maybe kinda, you know, not allowed. So I won't be too surprised if this video gets like a singular view. I don't know. I feel like the black and white allows me to hide it a little bit and make it not quite as gruesome as it actually is, because it's pretty gruesome. Also, the head on the floor belongs to the king. That is the king's head. But for some reason it has rotted and the rest of his body has not, which again I find really fascinating. I also really love this nice big sword. Great. I think it's fantastic. It really, again, like brings across this intimidating energy with the point in the sword and the sharp, what's that called? Guard. Most of this illustration, again, was just working on the armor. That was like 99% of my time was spent making sure the armor looked nice and dark and shiny, and I think it turned out really good. Yeah, I think it turned out great. The issue that I did have with the armor is that I wasn't quite sure where to end his shoulders. You know, like I understand how they flow with normal anatomy, but the lack of the head was making it quite confusing for me anatomy wise. So I think maybe his shoulders ended up a little flatter than they would probably be in real life. But again, I've never seen a decapitated body, so I wouldn't know, I guess is what I'm saying. But I like how it turned out. I wanted to go a little bit more visceral with the stump, I guess. This is really gross now that I'm thinking about it. But all I could really find was like cheap Halloween costumes, and that's all I really wanted to find, to be completely honest. So I don't know, I think it's fine. I of course went in at the end and added lots and lots of blood splatters, lots and lots of blood drops down the sword. And I'm very happy with this one yet again. I think that this one, I'm really pleased with it. I think there's, again, a good amount of contrast because of the darkness of the armor and sort of the lightness of the chair. I really think that that looks great. The chair doesn't really have any additional shading on it, but I don't think it needs it. I think it would have just distracted from the overall image. So this one took me 6 hours and 15 minutes, and that is day 14 castle. So that is the end. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like. If you want to see more from me, be sure to subscribe. I put out new videos twice a week in the month of October and every single day on shorts. If you want to see Inktobers before they come out in long-form video format, follow me on all my other social media. I am Afterplague on just about everything. TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Threads, and I am after_plague on Twitter. Please go check out the book. It's out today. Don't mind me begging. I apologize for that. Please go check out the book, afterplagueart.myshopify.com. I'm so raring for you guys to read it because I'm so proud of it. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope to see you again next time, and I hope you survive this post-plague world.